Hi, you guys. This is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks again for being with me this week for another YouTube Q&A video. You guys send in the questions and I answer them. If you're new to this channel, I always say welcome. Glad you're here. Please feel free to go to my website, which is themodernshaman.net. Lots of resources there for you guys if you would like a one-on-one session with me. That's the way to book them on the website. There's my online calendar. Also, if you would like to study more and go through my online process of education, my masterclass is available through the website also, and you can send in your questions, of course, if you'd like to be a part of this video Q&A. All right, so here's the question this week. It says, "Hi Rachel, I love your channel so much. I have a question about all of these social disorders that our kids and those are being diagnosed with. Why is it that there's more anxiety, more ADD, more autism, more gender dysphoria today in our society? Can you give your spiritual perspective?" Yes, I can. It's called evolution. Can I sum it up just like that? Yeah. This is coming up a lot. Okay. Let me see where I want to start. First, I want to start with a big, energetic hug to you all. If you are going through this, you are not alone. And I just want to say that I love you, I feel you, I see you, and you're not alone. If you have been diagnosed with one of these disorders, which just means our old system's not used to you yet. Mama and Papa coming in and paving your own path and having your own system. It's okay. And I just have a heart for it. And my own family, my own loved ones, my own children that have been diagnosed or identified with these labels. So I see a lot that struggle and that have suffering because of this. So my heart just first and foremost wants to give you a hug and share that energy of love and empathy and compassion with you all. And encourage you to keep pressing on for the rest of our species, because you are the forebearers, the torchbearers, the forerunners of our evolution and the adaptation of our system. To kind of piggyback on that, I want to say to you though, that if you have been diagnosed or labeled with this, don't let that stand in your way of your own process. That may be beneficial for you at some time to have that label, because there's understanding and information and knowledge that comes with certain labels where we go, oh, okay, I finally understand myself. I kind of get it. That may be helpful for you at a certain time in your life. But don't ever forget that you are a boundless being. You are soul incarnated into flesh, and that is eternal and infinite. So some label can never define the entirety of you. And you will evolve. So give yourself permission to go beyond that, to break out of that. Don't let it be a prison in your life, because I see that also, where you become a victim of your own label. And you are boundless. Just remind yourself of that, okay? In the monumental way that you are soul, choosing to incarnate into this flesh, okay? You cannot be bound by a label. It's not even possible. That is one moment, one timeline that may that you may express yourself through. Okay, yeah, it may be true for you in that moment. It may help you in that moment, but never let it imprison you, okay? All right, said my piece like that. I had to get that off my chest. Let's talk about this evolution. So first I have to get a little sciencey on you that our planet, as it moves through the galaxy, as it moves through the universe, remember, we're not static. Our planet is not still. We're constantly moving through space. And as that happens, we are impacted by other planetary bodies that have differences in force, magnetism, light, all sorts of things that are sciencey, right? And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that we're impacted by those things, because our human form is a natural biological system. And so when we live in a human body, our naturalness, our nature aspect of us is impacted by all of those aspects of what helps us function in this form, what makes our human body livable. And it is a system. So take where we are right now as we're moving through space, and we are moving closer to what is called the galactic center, a larger sun system. We're moving into other areas that have a difference in magnetism, electromagnetic fields, all of these things. And they're impacting us, and we are bringing in more light. Not only that, but as we bring in light, we're bringing in higher frequencies of light. Now, remember, what we see and what we call light, or what we call what is in our visible spectrum, this is electromagnetic radiation, right? And it allows us to see things, what we're perceiving. Now, all of that has a frequency, and the higher the frequency, the shorter the wavelength. So faster. And our system has to process this. We're constantly processing it. And our system is phenomenal. Our bodies are amazing. But we are trying to process higher frequencies of shorter wavelengths of light that are coming in right now. And as we're doing this, it can overwhelm the voltage of our system, because the shorter the wavelength, the faster it goes, and the higher voltage. So take, for instance, let me see, red, okay, the color red. This is typically around 400, 430, I don't know the exact range, terahertz, okay, in terms of the wavelength. And the electron volts is around 1.8 or something that emits. Now you get to blue, you get higher number or a higher frequency of terahertz, and you get higher voltage. You move into like 3 electron volts or EVs that are emitted from that. So our little brain and our little body is processing all of this, and essentially it's requiring that our brain take in more information, because light is information that we're processing through our processing system. So you think about a computer and how an old computer works, and it's so freaking slow, and we're like, we need to upgrade the system, and we're constantly updating our phones, upgrading our iOS system. We are upgrading RAM, because the speed process has to move faster. So those kids that are coming in diagnosed with A.D.D. essentially have the 2.0 processing system already put in. Our brain and our human species is evolving and adapting to the amount of electromagnetic radiation that's coming in on this planet right now. It's got to. And the processing speed, along with the voltage, has got to be adapted. Otherwise, we're going to have mutations, which is like panic attack, right? The voltage is too high. We can't handle it. This is also requiring more grounding. Okay, so think about the comparison of like in your own home, when you have 8 people using a hairdryer at the same time on the same circuit in the same bathroom, right? What happens? It busts a fuse, and the fuse goes out, and you have to go back to the circuit breaker and you reset it because it doesn't have enough grounding in that cord. So we are, as our human body is requiring more grounding. And y'all, this is not rocket science. I'm talking about it like it's scientific because it is, but just ground more. We're not outside as much as we used to be as a species. And so it's very easy to have a fuse break, have a panic attack. This is what is also diagnosed as anxiety. We're not able to process the voltage that is now inundating our system. And when we are not outside, hiking, walking, playing outside like our kids are not, then we're not grounding enough. And essentially we break a fuse. And we have to go back to the circuit breaker and reset it. And there's lots of ways to reset. But essentially, the easiest way to handle this adaptive transition in our species is to ground ourselves more, walk around barefooted, get your kids to be outside more, go hiking more, do the kind of outdoor activities where you're in nature more, or your feet are literally touching the earth more, your hands are touching the earth more, you're sitting on the floor, you have furniture. This is literally why I bought this couch that is grounded, that doesn't have legs on it, that goes flat to the floor. Sit on it, get a mat, sit on the yoga mat. These activities, through the physical action of the body, help discharge the higher voltage of energy. If we don't, it's like static electricity. It builds up. And the same thing happens when we don't discharge that energy. Essentially, the higher the voltage, the more destructive the energy can be. And by destructive, I just mean it starts to disperse electrons. It starts dispersing because the wavelengths get shorter. And as that happens, the frequency goes up, the voltage goes up, and we need to discharge that energy more, or it will build up and cause a bit of that combustion. So as those electrons are dispersing, that is considered a destructive type of cycle. So we need to discharge that energy or we will get destructive. I mean, again, like there's common sense to it, but there's science behind it. Just like get outside, have some way to discharge the energy. Don't be so charged up that you're literally like the second you touch something or talk to someone, you shock them like static electricity. Okay, because we're getting so much of that voltage going through our system right now. Everyone is. This is also why typically those that are diagnosed or identified with anxiety also are diagnosed as empaths. See, the other side of that coin. Most of them are. They're highly sensitive. And this is evolution in a positive way of our species, where we are able to perceive and receive and pick up on the information that's coming in through the non-physical realms. Same with autism. Autism is our multidimensional adaptation and evolution. So these are beings that are literally perceiving and receiving the information from the multidimensional realms, different dimensions, and oftentimes they are not grounded into the physical as much as they are the higher dimensional realms. And they will mirror and express what they are receiving, the information that they're getting telepathically. They're reading people telepathically. They're highly psychic. When I've had sessions with parents of autistic children, they will literally be sitting here beside their child, because I don't meet with children without the parent there, and they'll be there and I'll be remote viewing into their child's body and expressing what is difficult for their child to express because of their autistic diagnosis. And I'm thinking of one example in particular where the kid will say, nobody likes me, nobody likes me, nobody likes me. And he's saying this over and over and over. And the parent's really distraught over it. And my client's like, oh my gosh, like I feel so bad. I don't know, why is he saying this? And then I will realize that he is expressing what he is actually picking up on telepathically about his mom. He was saying his mom had a work meeting like the day before or 2 days before she signed up for the appointment with me, where she felt like she bombed this presentation that she did at work. And in her thoughts, she was thinking, oh, nobody liked me. They didn't like what I had to say, that nobody was listening. It didn't go well. And then her son started literally expressing what she was subconsciously thinking. And she didn't put two and two together until we were sitting there. And I could feel both of their subconscious layers. And I'm like, he's just saying what you're thinking. And so much of the autistic spectrum that we're seeing that's prevalent is the evolution of our multidimensional body being able to speak and hear of those multidimensional realms. It's the psychic integration into our form. And when we are on the precipice or the cutting edge of adaptation, oftentimes it looks like mutation. Right? It looks like something's wrong. Because we're not used to it. We're still in the 1.0, iOS system. We're like way back and we're slow and we don't get it. And our systems are old. I mean, talk about our school system that doesn't compute as fast as these kids with ADD, which they are the cutting edge. We should be like asking them to set up a new structure for our school. And they will, but because it's so slow and antiquated when you look at our old systems, and the same with our financial system is going to require updating. The same with our jobs and going and the way that our careers are set up and things are very fragmented. All of these old systems essentially fall away, and those that are on the cutting edge of our species will create new ones. And this is how evolution happens. Bravo, it's good. The same with gender dysphoria. This is adaptation and our divine masculine and divine feminine finally having some freaking integration here where we're not so polarized, where men are from Venus or men are from Mars and women are from Venus, where we're so different. We don't even understand each other. We're like, that's a man's brain and I don't get it. And we got to, where we're so polarized. Thank goodness that we're evolving in this way where we are integrating both of our masculine and feminine gender aspects and bringing in the androgyny of that has holistic gender, where we are all of these things because we are. And we are not a fragmented being. And this is old, y'all. This is not new. I mean, it's biblical where they ask Jesus, like, whose wife will she be when she's in heaven? And somebody asked that question of him, like, when you go to heaven and, she's married several times, like, whose wife is she going to be? And he's like, there's no marriage in heaven. There's no him and her. You're beyond this aspect of gender. You are all of these things. And so anyways, this is not new. And what I'm sharing with you shouldn't, again, be like an epiphany. This should sound like, oh yeah, this is where we're going. And there's nothing wrong here. It's only celebration of our evolutionary process as a species, that we are phenomenal, miraculous. And our bodies, bless their hearts, man. They're adapting. They're figuring it out. Our DNA is shifting upward. And we're on our way. So I hope that is a blessing to you and answers some of your questions and brings peace and joy and excitement to your process. We should look to these young leaders of our society. And by young leaders, I'm talking about our children. And we should encourage them to make new systems that work for them and to speak in their genius and live it. We will all be the better for it. All right. Mwah! Blessings. I'm signing off here. I'll be back next week with another video.